What's up, y'all? I'm just in here trying to make some food and swim and listen to an audiobook and, like give myself a break after giving myself some work. But here's the thought I was sitting here talking to myself about, that I was like, yeah, turn on my camera. So here's the deal. Is it part of what intersectionality is? I mean, most of what intersectionality is. The way in which intersectionality was founded by Dr. Kimberly Crenshaw, the terminology. Again, intersectionality has been around, the Combahee River Collective. No, Black women have been talking about intersectionality, but Dr. Crenshaw gave it a word, a language, right? A term. But the entire premise of it is that even when identities overlap with other groups, the differing identities shift and change the dynamic of an experience. You know, like intersectionality was founded on this on a court case where a black woman was suing an automobile company for discrimination. And the automobile company's response was, well, we hire women and we hire black men, so clearly we're not discriminating. And the point of the case was to say, but you don't hire black women, right? And so the relationship between, blackness and womanness, the relationship between gender and race is what complicated the situation. So I say all of this to say that do not assume, white folks specifically, do not assume that because you have a shared identity with a group, that your experience in the world is the same as theirs, or that you have the option to navigate trauma the same way that they would navigate trauma, because intersectionality is what speaks to the fact that trauma is held differently for different people and based on our intersecting identities. So if you were harmed, and I feel like this is one that speaks really clearly oftentimes to white queer community who assumes the black queer community have the same experiences as them. And that's just simply not true. Because black queer community's relationship is confounded by white supremacist racist ideologies within white queerness, right? And that there are places where black people's relationship is different and has had to be different because of both the necessity for survival as well as the harmful and oppressive structures that exist within that. For example, the black church, wildly harmful, right? Wildly historically harmful to queerness, to trans folks, to gender nonconforming people, wildly harmful. And at the same time, historically, the black church is in many ways why black people are still alive after chattel slavery. Right? That in many ways, the black church is in part, a lot of the reason for black resilience in many cases. And so the relationship is way more complicated than fuck the black church. Although for some people, that's absolutely their response. For some black folks, it's like, fuck the black church, I don't fuck with them anymore. I know a lot of black folks who are there. And then I also know a lot of black queer folks who are like, fuck the black church's homo and transphobia, and how do I work within this institution to bring them along because they have been so necessary for black survival, right? And so there's just a way, I think, I've always felt this, right? There's a way in which black people don't have the luxury to cut off our oppressors in the way that white marginalized people have. White marginalized people, because of individualism, because of an ethos of individualism, will absolutely sever some shit, sever relationships. Like, you're dead to me. You're dead to me, Susan, right? And the truth of the matter is, my experience, that Black people have never had that same sort of luxury, because it is our survival has necessitated being in relationship oftentimes to institutions, people, and principles that are harmful to us in some ways, but saving us in others. And that's the quandary, that's the fucked up ass catch-22 of, being multiply marginally oppressed. Is that you just don't have the same options as it relates to being near or adjacent to harm that you do as a white person. And so, I just want to complicate the narrative that overlapping marginalized identities mean that the experiences are the same, because they're not. And that multiple marginalized identities, the whole purpose of intersectionality is to highlight the ways in which those multiple identities interact in ways that are different in the structure, under the structure of white, cis, hetero, capitalist, ableist patriarchy. And I think it's really important for us to not forget that. Otherwise, we really, that's what white feminism is the feminine, as long as I'm a feminist. No, Jane. So that's my thoughts on that today. I'm interested in your comments down below. Your comments and experiences of this, ways in which you have conflated them at times, ways in which you've seen them conflated. I'm never interested in your, protection of the institutions of whiteness. Never interested in that, though. So feel free to put your comments down below. I'm also excited that folks are signing up for this life retreat. We still have some spaces. So come have these conversations with me in person, because you need it for your spirit in 2020, because you enjoy kicking it with me here. So come kick it with me here. All right, and you can swipe up for details on registration. Bye.